Change your heart, change your life, change the planet.
When you consider committing to something or when you consider taking an action to change your life, we have this expectation or this idea of what it should be and what it should look like and how we are supposed to be engaged and how others are going to be holding us accountable. So we've got this really grand picture, this big picture of what it all should look like. And we then get in touch with how we feel in the moment. And we say, okay, my body doesn't feel good right now. My mind doesn't feel good right now. I don't have a lot of energy or gas in my tank. So when I compare my current state and my current feelings and my current abilities to this bigger picture, to this bigger image, I say, wow, I don't measure up. I can't do that. So I'm going to fail, so I shouldn't even try. But what I want you to consider instead is that failure is really about having this picture that we paint that is much larger than anyone could actually accomplish, and it's much bigger than any one particular step that we could ever take. So failure is really the creation of an unrealistic construct rather than I took a step and I got information. So failure is I can't take a step because I can't measure up to the construct, or I took a step and there were expectations in place either by me or by others, and now I'm upset, they're upset, I got hurt, they got hurt. So I can't even do this. I can't even take any steps because I don't have the ability to meet their expectations or my thoughts about their expectations. So what I want to suggest, instead of seeing action like that, or instead of seeing failure as an inevitable outcome, I want you to consider that we do have to acknowledge where we are, we do have to acknowledge what we feel, and we do have to acknowledge our energy levels and take them into consideration, and therefore build steps and build actions that are in alignment with those feelings in those states. So rather than saying, I have to take a step on par with the steps that they think are acceptable, no, I instead have to take a step that's on par with what I'm currently able to do. And it's going to be smaller than what I think they expect. It's going to be smaller than what I think they want. But that's okay. It is a step in the right direction. It doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter what they're expecting. That's irrelevant. And when I take that step, I'm going to get information. I'm going to get data. I'm going to learn something. And when I do, I can incorporate that data into my knowledge and understanding of my abilities and of the world around me. And now, once I've recovered from that step, I can take the second step with more information, with a better understanding. And I can grow myself really gradually. And there is no failure, there's just information about the step I took. So maybe I wanted to do this, I tried it, and I didn't quite get there. Okay, that's not failure. That's just information that I don't currently have the amount of energy for a step that large. Or I expected the environment to show up in a way that maybe was unrealistic. So let's go back and modify and revise the next step that we're going to take because we just got information about our energy or our physical capabilities, or we got information about the physical environment or the social environment. So now we have a better understanding of the next step that we can take. And if we keep doing that, we're going to keep getting more information. We're also going to start building momentum. And we're going to understand that failure doesn't exist unless you have built this construct that you were trying to measure up to that has nothing to do with the reality of what steps you're currently able to take. We all think that we can operate inside of these grand constructs and these grand commitments, but nobody actually does. On the street level, on an actionable level, it's all about I take a step, I get feedback. I take a step, I get feedback. That's it. That's how every action takes place. But most people forget that, or most people aren't really present to that. And when you're having challenges, you need to get present to that, and you need to really investigate that. And when you do, you see that failure doesn't exist. unless you're trying to measure up to a construct that has nothing to do with your current reality. So we don't have to worry about following through. We don't have to worry about commitments because we're not committing. We're simply taking steps. And we're growing and we're learning as we do so. And after we've taken those steps for a while, we now have more ability. We now have a greater understanding. We now have momentum. We now have the ability to tolerate a bit more physically because our body has grown and our mind has grown, and we've learned how to work with our discomfort rather than always seeing it as an obstacle that prevents us from taking action. This is what exercise is all about. Me as a runner, the discomfort never goes away. Racing, wow, there's a whole lot of discomfort when you race, but you just learn how to work with it rather than thinking, oh, I need to avoid that because there's a lot of discomfort. So you build a greater and greater tolerance for discomfort, and you learn how to be more and more gentle with yourself in the midst of that discomfort. And the more you do that, little step by little step, the more you're able to do regardless of how you feel. And then suddenly you find yourself doing some pretty extraordinary things that might be really uncomfortable physically and emotionally, but yet you're able to do them. But you don't expect yourself to do that right away. You realize that's a process. That's a journey that I'm going to go on. And if I allow myself to be gentle on each step of that journey, eventually I'll be able to do great things. And it won't require that I feel good in order to do them. I can even do them when I feel bad.